This is the piece I was talking to you about, this sill piece here. Alright, so what we need to do, we need to set this edge of this sill piece in line with your door seal here. This will only move this way. It will not move up and down. Well, it will a little bit, a couple of thousandths of an inch, but it won't move all that much. But it'll move in and out. This is fixed to this. Alright, I'm going to change camera. In order to show you what this piece does, this sill piece, I went to the container and I got one out. And it's made out of two pieces. There's a bracket like this. Notice there's slots here to lift up and down. Now this bit bolts behind your bulkhead, it bolts your seat base to your back tub. Again, I'll twist the camera around in a minute and show you a bit better. So you've got at the other end of this sill piece, which would go down here, you've got some slots. And what happens is, you can then, when you have assembled this, and this is why I say don't tighten up the bolts yet, you can move this backwards and forwards to get your desired 34 3/4 inch. So what you do is you put shims under your bulkhead under here and bring this out. Now a top tip, instead of taking the bolt in and out, I just make some C-washers. So I get a washer that's going to go under there and cut a little slot in it so you can push them in. And then you can work out the distances. Once you're happy, take those out, put some proper washers in, then you only have to do it once. So this has got slots in, and also you can move this up and down. Again, you've got to get this at 90 degrees. If you don't get this piece here at 90 degrees, you're on a hide into nothing, because nothing's going to work. Now let's move the camera again and I'll show you what I meant about the back. The piece I was just describing is under here. This is the bits that's on the slots. So like I say, you've got a little bit of movement on that. So by moving these brackets here, you see these ones here, you can move your tub up and down a bit. You've got a little bit of wriggle room. But remember, you've got to get that 90 degrees, and you've also got to get that 34 3/4 inch between your door gap. It's really important. So I've set these brackets the furthest towards the back, because I've cut this box down, so it's not a very good example of putting a box on, because some of these brackets are welded and you have to put shims behind here to move this, to shim this box up. It's really important. A lot of people miss the shims out. They throw them away and think, oh, we don't need those. And then they reef on the bolts and they twist and they bend everything, and then they wonder why the doors don't close. So it's really important when you're setting up a Land Rover to use shims if it had shims in. Like, let me put the camera up a bit higher and I'll show you what I mean. So the bracket here is adjustable on a lot of later Defenders, and that was to do away with a few of the shims you used to have to put in on series trucks. But the principle is exactly the same, all right? So I think we've covered that just about there, this back corner, because it's this back corner, not the bulkhead, that's the most important. So let me swap camera angles and I'll show you how to correct the angle of the bulkhead. Once you're satisfied that the angle of the door here is at 90 degrees and the distance between there and there is 34 3/4, but at the top you have a wider gap, then what you have to do is put some shims in here. Loosen this bolt off just ever so slightly and put some shims in here. Now bear in mind, on this same bracket, this is loose as well. You can see I haven't tightened that up, but that's how you have to do it. You've got to move the top in, you know, with a piece of string if you're on your own, or a ratchet strap. Pull it into the body and then put your shims in so it's nice and snug. Not too tight, you know, you don't want it pushing, stressing. It's just got to be nice and snug. Tighten those bolts up and then check your measurements again. Now I'll show you on this door what I did, and you'll perhaps understand what I was on about. So I might go over this video 2 or 3 times repeating myself, but it really is important. So let's just double check. We've got our square, put it on top of that sill plate, and you can see this is a perfect 90 degrees. I've got the rubber off and I'm working off the seam where the rubber goes on. That is perfect. The distance, see if I can see down here a bit, so I'm not cheating. Perfect, look at that. So, lifetime, no cheating. Where have you gone? There you go. Between here and here, perfect. So I know now, by putting the correct shims under here, that this bulkhead is perfectly aligned with this back panel. That door has to fit. If your gaps are wrong after that, there's something wrong with your door. Measure up your door. They're not always guaranteed to be square. If you put a new door skin on, just make sure you crimp it right, because you could actually crimp it a little bit tapered, if you see what I mean. The reason why you do it like this, and you know, people say you try to correct the door gaps once your roof's on. Well, that's wrong. You can't do this with the roof on, because the roof is holding everything, pulling everything tight together. You know, a lot of Land Rovers have got these flexible joints in here. You know, like, you know, where you tip your window down. Well, that again gives you a bit of wiggle room. But the later Land Rovers had a fixed piece on here, so that means your screen's fixed. But at the top of the windshield, or the windscreen frame, there are some slots in there too. So that allows the roof to go backwards and forwards. Now I can't cover the roof today because I ain't got one. But setting the door gaps and making your Land Rover look really nice. Because there's nothing worse than looking at a Land Rover and you think, oh, what a beautiful paint job. Yeah, but the door gaps are crap. For me, when I'm buying a Land Rover, that's one of the first things I look at, because then I know everything's, you know, it's been misaligned. So I hope you like that, because I've been working up to this for a long time. And the other day, I did this video. I did this video the other day outside. And I was trying to work on that 130 and do this at the same time. Well, I got all confused by I was doing like 5 minutes out there doing this truck, and then 10 minutes in there, and I forgot what I completely said. So I hope you like that. Give us a thumbs up, because somebody once gave me a thumbs down. I can't believe it. But this is true. This is how it actually is. And you'll never go wrong after that. You'll build thousands of Land Rovers, you say. And it's just a matter of bolting it all up after that, because you've got that door gap fixed. Get yourself a bit of plastic pipe. You will not go wrong. And the old series trucks, we haven't forgotten you guys. It's exactly the same.